Hi, and welcome to session 16 of History of Healing. We're going to cover in this session European medicine, the third part, so the next historical piece of Europe, and that being the period of more intensive industrialization and the development of scientific medicine across the 19th century and beyond. And so in this session, we're going to end our specific focus that we've had previously on Western Europe and expand that a bit to cover the developments in society, culture, and medicine across Europe, the United States, and Australia, because those cultures during this time were pretty inextricably intertwined in terms of the sort of governmental linkages that there were there at that point, at least early on in the piece. And the 19th and early 20th centuries really marked the greatest leap forward of science and medicine that we've seen so far in this course. So we were really bringing medicine into the common era across the 19th and early 20th century. Physiology, chemistry, and microbiology all advanced in ways that would completely change the face of medicine forever. And pharmacology was very close behind in developing methods to address the newly identified causes of disease that were being brought forward by the other sciences. Medicine also became much more politicized during this time, and it made a strong move into the realm of prestige and respect and influence and wealth that had not been the privilege of doctors in the past. And so with the major advances in scientific medicine in the mainstream, some outdated philosophies and methods were finally shed, so some of the dogmatic things that we've seen doctors and scholars adhering to in our previous sessions are now going to start to be let go of. Although in some instances we can argue that perhaps, as they say, the baby was thrown out with the bathwater. Thankfully, there were persistent efforts to keep some traditional medicines alive, and there were promising new alternatives at that time as well, and we'll talk about those just a little bit this week, but we're going to explore all of those in greater depth in the coming weeks as we look at the specific histories of different types of complementary and alternative modalities that are still practiced today. The culture and society of this period of time across the 19th and early 20th century was very interesting and was a really major driver in the mores that were being seen in medicine. So the morals of medicine were very much influenced by the morals of the times and vice versa. And medicine really gained a great deal during this period, and this is especially true for what we'll call heroic medicine, so medicine that comes in catastrophic situations and saves a person's life, and that was a really big advance. And yet there were some things that were lost also in the art of practice from the mainstream practice of medicine, lost during this time, but as the focus changed to the use of medicine in more heroic ways to save lives that it hadn't been able to save in the past. So we'll head now into the lecture. Please remember to complete your prescribed readings, which are very short this week, in your DiStefano set text, and also have a read through the slides before you undertake your lecture, listening to your lecture in order to get more out of it. So I'll see you in lecture, and thank you for joining.